All right, here we go. I had to do a little test real quick to make sure that the audio was working because I've redone all this stuff with my computer. I was having problems whenever I was putting in one of these USBs. I don't know what it's for. I've got like 6 different USB things that get connected up, and I've only got 4 USB connectors. Because, like, for example, one of them is this little label printer that I have for whenever I ship something out with eBay, and so that's not plugged in all the time. I've got the 3D printer, the microphone, the mixer, the mouse, the keyboard. It's like I've got a ton of these damn things. I have this little Bluetooth wireless little thing that I put in because I can watch all this stuff on my television in the living room, but I still want to mess around with stuff, and so that's all wireless. You don't have to have a cord that stretches all the way over there. But I have found that the things that are wired are much more responsive, and I hate dealing with batteries. It's like that with my power tools as well. I have a few cordless ones, and I just hate them. But they come in handy, you know. So if you have a bunch of jobs where you're just kind of all over the place, those are very handy. I think that everyone should have like a cordless drill, and that's really about it. Whenever you go to a corded one, you're going to have more power with it, with the motor, because you're getting more of a consistent draw of electricity from the outlet. With all these power tools, it's like the battery just dies like that. The motors are smaller, and so having cordless stuff for around the house for light stuff, it's like that's fine. But the more serious you get, the more you kind of want to up that stuff up. You go to a job site, you really want to fix yourself up a station and just bring everything to it where you've got the power tools. Saws are just horrible with this. You see videos about this constantly where people are cutting, and it's like that the battery dies on them, the motor's not strong enough, and the blade will get caught up and snagged in it. And it's like you don't have that problem whenever it's corded. Anyways, I'm gonna just kind of be rambling, I think, for these videos for a little while until I get back into the groove of things of making 2 videos twice a day, Monday through Friday. I mean, I'll definitely get back to it, but I just have some things to go on. One of the things that I kind of noticed today was that I take too much time in trying to make a decision with something, because that was eating up quite a bit of my time today. I'm making these gaming tables, or that's going to be one of the projects a little bit later down the road. And I was thinking, you know, I really don't have any games. I've got one. I have Twilight Imperium 4, and it's a lot of fun. And I bought that because I've been playing with this group for a long time, for a year. But the guy who kind of really heads up the group, I've been playing with him for several years, and took a little break and came back recently. And so whenever the 4th edition of this one came on out, it's the one that I enjoyed the most. It's like, yeah, I'll buy this one. I felt like I needed to contribute and do my part with this a little bit. And with the gaming table, I kind of went down this rabbit hole and was like, oh man, there's all kinds of games. And I noticed that quite a few of them were electronical now, where you can use your smartphone or tablet and you can download an app, and it's got these images and voice recordings and sounds and stuff that are going on. It's like, oh, this is cool. I need to learn more about it. And I came across one where it's like, I think I'm going to go ahead and get it. And it's called, I don't even know what the hell it's called. It's ISS Vanguard, and it's a space themed. It's a ship, and you do a lot of exploring. And it looked really interesting, but it had kind of a lot of the modern things that you find in gaming today. And it's like, okay, if I can get this game and then incorporate all of the components that it have into the gaming table, that'll help out a lot. But I was kind of back and forth on the fence on it because it's pretty expensive. Because it's like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. So I want to get all of it. And it's a few $100 for it. And it's like, well, yeah, I can. But it's like, I had someone who commented on my last video, and he was like, oh, I've got a Pentium 7. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, man. Because whenever I was younger, I could do those things too. But now that I'm older, I have a lot of things that are pulling at me for my money. It's like I have the 3D printer, I have my rental properties, I have the wood shop, I was doing pottery for a good long while, and just, you know, wanting to do things with friends and family members, and all these other little hobbies that I have. It's like I have this workstation over here where I do whatever the hell it is that I feel like at the time copper plate, which is it's a form of writing technique. You know, I try to get on the keyboard. I just rarely do it. I love looking up information online, and so having a computer that's up selling my stuff on eBay or Facebook or whatever, it's like there's a lot of things. And whenever I was younger, I didn't have all these things. Like I didn't have the workshop, but it started off whenever I got the rental properties, and I was like, well, I can do this stuff myself, and my tool collection built up to the point where it is now. And it's like, yeah, but whenever I was younger, I recognized this. And whenever I was in high school and had my first job, I saved up like $1,000 and I bought myself a TV, and that was cheap because it was on sale for half price. Normally, it was $2,000. And the reason why it was half off was because it was their very last model, and it was also their display model. So it's like, yeah, we need it out of here. We need the shelf space for the new models that have come on. And that thing lasted me like 20 years because it's like, yeah, I can put a little bit more money into this because I'm not paying rent. I'm not paying utilities. I'm in school. I'm with the family. It was high school. And it's like, yeah, and I did that with several things. I bought a receiver at the same time, a stereo receiver. And that thing, I still have it. It still works today. It's over there in that closet. But the reason why I don't use it is because back then there was no HDMI cables. And so whenever the TV went out a couple of years ago, because I had that thing like 21 years, I bought a new one. It's like I'm forced to upgrade now. So, but I found out that I was taking quite a bit of time trying to decide whether or not I was going to take this. And this was kind of going off of the decision that I made about I've let my hair grow out, and it's like, well, I don't know what kind of hairstyle that I want to go and do because, you know, like I was saying the other day, my hairline is just receding. You know, it should be like down to here if everything was all right, but it's like it's slowly creeping back. You know, it's like and that's kind of normal for the family. You know, my grandfather, he had hair along the sides and the back, but it slowly crept forward. I don't think it's going to be quite like that. But if it gets to that point, I'm just going to probably just shave and go bald. I don't think that look is for me. And that's fine. I mean, there's plenty of guys who've done that, and it's like, yeah, it's whatever. But I found myself spending a lot of time with that, and I made a decision, I guess a couple of days ago now, where I'm just going to revert to what's effective and efficient, because I just don't want to waste time, because I want to be able to focus more on things that mean more to me. It's like a haircut doesn't mean a damn thing to me. It's like, yeah, it's part of my image, and if I can figure something out, I'll give it a little bit of thought, but I don't want to dwell on it all the time. And I found myself doing the same thing with this, and it wasn't quite the same. You know, it's like this doesn't fall into an effective and efficient kind of thing. It falls more under, I need to ask myself is, you know, what are my goals, and does this push me towards my goals or not? And the more that it pushes me towards my goals, the more that I need to say yes. And whenever I viewed it that way, then it was like, oh, well, yes, because I want to be able to build these gaming tables, and I'm looking to sell those things around $15,000 or more. It's like, yes, I obviously need to get that. And I also kind of balanced it out a little bit, is that I have some other things that it's like, I don't do anything with them. They just kind of sit there, and I do need to get rid of them, but there's it's kind of a rough point in my life where I bought these things, and so it's kind of hard to let go, but it's like I'm doing nothing with them at all. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to sell like $500 worth of that stuff that I have. And so I was also doing fasting. I talked about that yesterday, where I only did 2 meals. I've slowly been going down now that the holidays are over, and just kind of preparing myself for it. It was part of my New Year's resolution, and it was like it was going pretty good. And I was talking about that I wasn't going to be eating anything today. And come noontime, it's like my hunger was kind of coming around a little bit. And then I thought about, I wonder how much habit plays into this, because I know that I've got a book over here called Power of Habit. Right here. And it's an old book, but it's a Charles, however you say his last name. And I guess this was done in the 2000s something. It's like over 10 years old, but it's a. Oh, Adam gave this to me. But I think it holds relevancy still. I don't think they've come across anything different, because I've heard people like Jordan Peterson talk about it, and I've been aware of this for a long time. Back whenever I had TV, like over a decade ago, I would watch some TV shows. One of them was called Intervention. And it's where the friends and family of somebody who had some kind of substance abuse, they would do an intervention and say, yeah, we're really concerned about you. You need to stop, and we're not going to continue with you along this path because we feel like that we're enabling you instead of helping you. And because you make up these excuses and we give you money and then you just use them for drugs or whatever, or you steal from us and you sell it so you can get money for drugs. And something that kept coming up, which is why I noticed it, because it was kind of a reoccurring topic, was that people would go off to rehab or Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever it was, because some people it's extremely bad for them. But they would go off to rehab and they would kind of recover from it relatively quickly. Now, it would take them like a second or third go-around before they actually did it, because it's something that you can't force anybody to do. They have to want to willingly do it themselves, and whenever they came to that conclusion that they wanted to do it, or they realized that they could, whatever the case may be, they would do it until they got back home. And then it was back in the same environment and the same routines and habits that they were doing before. It was back with the same old friends at the same old place with the same temptations that were there, and they would be right back into it like that. It's like they would last like maybe a day or two. It was like nothing, and there they were again. And this is part of where it comes into play about toxic people. It's like you do not go back to those people and those environments that's all toxic. And it's like, yeah, I think a better word though would be unhealthy instead of toxic, because there's not an opposite to toxic. I hate it whenever somebody says that there's toxic masculinity. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't leave open. It's not open for the opposite. But if you say unhealthy, well, the opposite of that is healthy. And so it's like, okay, well, that's better. So that gives you something to walk away from and something to walk towards. So unhealthy masculinity would be somebody who's aggressive and is always offensive, and healthy masculinity would be like somebody who will defend people, especially those who can't defend themselves. But anyways, they would have to, kind of like the next step would be is, well, you can do this because you come here to rehab and you're here again, and it's like you get off of this stuff and that's fine, but you're not recognizing the problem that you have there at home with your environment, with your friends, and all these other situations, and you need to clean all that up. I was like, okay, well, is this really a thing, or is this just something that is just put on the cover of books to help sell books? I was like, you know what, I'm willing to try it out, because I have the opportunity to do it. Because if it is legitimate, then maybe I can go ahead and explore it and use it to my advantage with other things, other endeavors later down the road. And so it's like, okay, I don't have any food. I have some meat, but that's in the freezer. And in the fridge, the only thing I had was some broccoli. I had like maybe a cup and a half, 2 cups worth of broccoli. It's like, yeah, I'll steam this up and I'll go through the motions. I'll go to the kitchen. I'll grab it out of the fridge. I'll break it up into pieces. Put it in the steamer and steam it and season it, and I'll go sit down and do whatever as it's cooking, and then whenever it's ready, I'll go cook it and eat it. And it worked. I'm not saying that my hunger just vanished, but it went from here to like, we're good. And it was like, this is a hell of a lot easier to bear, because it wasn't much. It was like probably not even 150 calories that I took in with that. And so I decided to go ahead and try it one more time, and that was with dinner. And I just went to Walmart and I just grabbed a couple of apples, and it was the same thing. It was about a couple hundred calories, much less, obviously, than what I normally eat. And that's all I've had besides some coffee and some gum. And so tomorrow, but I'm not going to do it anymore. That's going to be the end of it, because if you really want to get into ketosis and autophagy, it's like barely nothing. And really, if I really wanted to kick it into high gear, I shouldn't be chewing the gum. Well, maybe the gum's all right, because this doesn't have sugar in it. It has that, what's it called? Xylitol. It's Zylitol, and it's a different kind of sweetener, and supposedly it's an active ingredient that will fight cavities, the bacteria that causes that. So it's like, yeah, I'm all in. I'll chew that all night and day, and that helps with my cravings for sweets and other things. The coffee, though, I do like to put coffee creamer in it. From my understanding, coffee is fine, but drinking black coffee is not quite my thing. But I think maybe for the the last couple of days of me doing this, maybe I'll take that out, because I do enjoy water, especially if it's chilled. And they say, I've seen many or heard many people talk about that after you get 2 to 4 days in it, it varies from person to person, that your hunger cravings stop and it's just nothing, and you just kind of go about your day and it's just fine. So I'm curious to see about that one, because again, like I was saying yesterday, I'm all for doing things that cost nothing, that they're free. It's like, how much money does it cost you to go out and to do fasting? Nothing. It's free. So it's like, yeah, I'm all down for it. And I did say that I was going to start working out again. I didn't do that yesterday because whenever I got to uploading the video, it took like an hour and a half for that thing. And I was thinking maybe it has something to do with the new video card that I've got in it, that it's maybe recording my videos a little bit sharper, a little higher resolution, and so that's slowing it down. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to look into it, because I try not to do videos that are that long, and because like I was saying before, is that whenever OBS got to around an hour, I would have problems with it turning off. And I was trying really hard before. I went on this little hiatus to keep them around 10 minutes, which just didn't work. I've got too much to say. And so I don't think that'll be that big of an issue if it's taking a little bit longer. But I didn't work out because I didn't want to put any more strain on the computer. And I just wanted to see how long it was going to take. It's like I need to know now. That's something I really don't need to put off. But I did go running tonight. I just kind of came back from it, and it was absolutely dreadful, because at my heyday there, I guess whenever COVID started up, it was I was doing 14 miles on my Saturday run. And I've been running for decades, and I know what was going to happen. And that was, now that winter is upon us, whenever you just, because I've had this happen before where I've had an injury, I've had to stop, and then whenever I'm good to go again, it's like, well, it's cool outside, or it's just flat out cold, depending if it's fall or winter or whatever. And it's going to hurt your throat and your lungs, your chest, because you're really forcing that cold air down. Even if you're outside and you're working outside, it does not matter. It is completely different whenever you are running and you're just doing those deep, heavy breaths. And that's exactly what happened. I only went for a couple of miles. It wasn't very long, and I took breaks along with it too, because even though I felt like I was okay, that doesn't mean that my ankles and my knees and all that stuff were going to be able to handle it. It's horrible whenever you start up running again, and then you have some kind of damn injury, and it's like, great, went to something else. Usually it's not very bad, though, because it seems like the injuries really kind of happen whenever I'm doing a run of significance, that it's like 6, 7, 8 miles, and then I kind of have an injury and I'm far from home, and it's like I really don't have a choice. I have to come back, and even just walking on it, it's still several miles, and it's like that'll really do you in. But I went for a couple of miles. I ran around the local college that we have there, and I stopped, I guess, 3 times. I really didn't need to. I guess maybe one time I was kind of feeling it a little bit, but I could have gone on. It didn't matter. But it's like I've got plenty of time. I've got my whole life to work on my fitness, so I don't need to jeopardize any of that stuff. So if you are new, if you're catching me for the first time, I like to talk about primarily kind of 2 things. Just personal development and kind of what's going on with the news and with the government. I think the government is a bunch of nonsense. And I don't think I'm going to do any of that. I have a whole bunch of tabs opened up of a whole bunch of things that I kind of want to go over. But I'm still kind of setting up some things with the shop. I bought a heater for the garage. It is pretty highly recommended from Amazon, and it should be able to heat up the garage just fine. It was a couple of $100 for it, and I'll have to do some wiring on it, but that's common whenever I bought my table saw. It doesn't come with a plug or a wire or anything like that. You got to go out and buy it and do all the wiring yourself. It's fine. It's been there, done that. And I've been working on the garage with covering up those holes, because there's two of them up in the ceiling. There's two on the sides. And I had to go over to one of the rental units. With older doors, you can put this weather stripping that's made out of wood. And it's got like this little rubber seal on it. And you just kind of cut it to size. You apply a little bit of pressure on it whenever you're nailing it up, because that's the way that you take advantage of the rubber sealing to it. And I took some pictures of it, and I guess I will probably post even that tomorrow, because I think it's actually going to be kind of cold tomorrow. It's going down a little bit. It's 49, and then it's going to be 26 on Thursday, and then up to 72. What the hell, man? That's a jump. So yeah, I guess that's kind of good enough for now. This is pretty much right at 20 minutes. But yeah, if you are interested in improving yourself, because it's also understanding what it all means and being able to clearly define it. For example, the most common word used in the English language is love. And something that people don't realize is that you shouldn't say love for anything. You should treat it exactly like a profanity. Whenever I was younger, everyone would always say, even the adults, you don't say profanities at all. And it's like, well, that's wrong. And they've kind of gone in the opposite direction too far, where people just kind of blast that stuff like it's nothing. And I'm kind of guilty of that too. But whenever I was younger, I didn't use profanity. I didn't even say I love you to anybody. And I still don't say that. And it's just ridiculous. You know, whenever somebody says that they love you, but then they also say something like, well, I love eating at Taco Bell. It's like, did you just compare me to Taco Bell? What the hell's wrong with you? It's like, expand your vocabulary, twit. Don't ever say that you love Taco Bell again. You can say it's your favorite fast food chain, or that you really enjoy Mexican food, or that's your go-to place whenever you need something quick. It's like, pull your head out of your butt, you know? And it's just like, people do understand, you know, yeah, you shouldn't really say profanity all the time. They're not quite, I think, they don't quite understand as to why, but they do understand it whenever it's hate. You know, a lot of people understand, yeah, hate is not a word that you should just throw out there and just kind of arbitrarily say to someone or something. And it's like, well, that's the same thing with love. That's the opposite. It's something that, yes, you should say, but it should be reserved for special occasions. And you can see it all the time, you know, especially with girls. You know, they'll say that they love a damn handbag. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you, psycho? It's like, you're heading straight to Cat City, aren't you? It's like, you're going to end up alone. It's like, I hope you love Mr. Whiskers for real, because that's who you're growing old with, you psycho. It's like, yeah, it's like, no, don't do that at all. So, you know, I'm really glad to see that there are a lot of people who are kind of waking up with, I don't care what you say. I care about what you do. And it's not to say that what you say isn't important, but if it's not matching up with what it is that you're doing, it's like, there's a cliff, go take a jump. I'll help push you off, because I'm not following you down that. And I've been watching these videos about kind of dating and girls, and how girls are really kind of going nuts because they don't know how to manage social media. I haven't been dating for a while, and I'm going to get back into it again. But it's like, one of the things that is absolutely going to happen is that, I tell you what, she is going to get off of all of it. No Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, none of it. And if I catch her on any of it, it's like, we're done. Or it's just over. It's just, no, I do not care. Those people on Facebook are not real. And if they are the select few, then that means that you have their number. And you can call them up or text them. You don't need Facebook for a damn thing. And I know that for a fact, because I grew up without any of this crap. And I was getting pissed off too, because there was some talk about how, oh, we need education, the government to be involved with it. And it's like, no, you don't. It's like, education needs to be about STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We do need it, but all this kind of woke stuff, and that the school is going to be able to prepare you for your future. It's like, no, they're not. You know why? Because whenever I was in high school, none of this existed. None of it. There was no internet. We didn't have internet connection. We did not have smartphones. Flat screen TVs were like the big thing. I went to a high-end electronics store and I saw my first TV over there at that place, and that sucker was $20,000. And I was like, that's insane. And now it's like, I have two little flat screen monitors, spend around $100 for each of them. And so it's like, yeah, how was anybody back then going to be able to possibly be able to prepare me for something that wasn't even existed, that we weren't even imagining anything like this? YouTube was completely non-existent. The internet was not around. Smartphones, just something as simple as HDMI cables and USB ports, and it's just none of it was there at all. There was nothing. You know, how are they going to be able to tell me that you should get on social media and do YouTube videos and be able to help people by designing a website that's going to deal with lying and help people with being able to get good, accurate information so that they can be able to explore their potential in whatever it is that they want to do? It's like there was nothing. So, yeah, I just hate all of the salad word garbage nonsense that they fling together. It's just take your fluff words and just shove it. So look at this, I'm almost at 30 minutes here. I'll be in 30 minutes before I'm blinking eyes, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. So if you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and yeah, something's gonna really happen big with all of this, so subscribe and catch in every now and then to see what's going on, because it's not gonna stop. Catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.